Hello, and welcome to Turnitin's VidBITs, where the teachers at Turnitin offer our best instructional tips for the classroom. In this session, we'll focus on best practices for effective rubric design. We'll briefly discuss the value of rubrics in instruction, then focus on steps for designing an effective rubric, what instructors can do to ensure rubrics are successful, and take a look at rubrics in Feedback Studio. Let's set the stage by defining the role of a rubric. The term rubric refers to a scoring guide used to evaluate the quality of students' constructed responses. A rubric is a matrix listing evaluation criteria, each associated with a detailed description and score. Rubrics contain three essential elements: the criteria indicating what is being evaluated, performance levels with descriptive quality definitions showing the differences in student responses to be evaluated, and the scoring methodology, which is based on the type of rubric. For instance, rubrics may be holistic or analytic, general or task-specific. The scoring strategy for holistic requires overall quality judgment, while the strategy for analytic requires criterion by criterion scoring. Rubrics are helpful for instructors and students. For students, rubrics act as a statement of goals and objectives for an assignment. Sharing a rubric with students while presenting assignment details helps set expectations and provides a common framework for language and assessment. For instructors, rubrics ensure student work is assessed in a fair and consistent manner. They promote shared expectations among instructors and also reduce the amount of time spent on grading. While the use of rubrics is familiar to many, there is often confusion on what a rubric entails. We'll take a look at what the research says about effective rubric design. We'll focus on the pre-work involved around defining instructional goals, then dive into determining the evaluative criteria, performance levels, and descriptors, and talk a little more about scoring. When building a new rubric, it's important to reflect on the instructional goals of the task. What are the learning objectives? So what are the skills you'd like students to achieve? The instructional goals of the assignment will inform the type of rubric to be created. While the best practices presented in this video can be applied to all types of rubrics, we'll demonstrate by applying the principles to an analytic rubric, where each criterion is evaluated separately. The next step is to define evaluative criteria, or what can also be referred to as traits. To define the traits, reflect on what skills or knowledge should be observed to meet the criteria. So, what is being measured specifically? Research suggests defining 3 to 5 traits that are the most important to the assignment. Ensure the chosen traits are necessary and, as a set, sufficient for meeting the targeted achievement. Also, criteria should be distinct to avoid any overlap in the traits. Clear lines between traits allows for easier, targeted scoring. Next, the performance level should be labeled. To define performance levels, reflect on how can the criteria be classified to represent meaningful levels of student performance? Performance levels represent gradations of performance and are most often presented as headings in a column format. Examples of performance levels include advanced, proficient, developing, emerging, or exceeds expectations, meets expectations, near expectations, below expectations, or 4, 3, 2, 1. Notice labels may be numerical or textual, depending on what type of feedback or scoring is appropriate for the assignment. Last, descriptors for each criterion can be written. Descriptors indicate the degree to which the standard is met and should be written for each performance level across the continuum. For descriptors, reflect on how are the characteristics of the traits differentiated among the performance levels for each criterion. A best practice for writing descriptors is to begin by defining what proficiency looks like for each trait. Reflect on what does it look like if a student is proficient in this skill or area. Then consider what it may look like for developing and advanced. The difference in quality from a score point of 5 to 4 should be the same difference in quality from a score point of 3 to 2. All descriptors should model and reflect the consistent levels of continuity. Keep in mind that descriptors should be qualitative, specific, and descriptive. Try to use parallel language that is student-friendly. Also, descriptors should clearly describe positive attainment rather than lack of attainment. As previously mentioned, scoring will depend on a few factors, such as the instructional goals and type of rubric, holistic or analytic. In general, some examples of scoring include points, percentages, letter grades, pass-fail, or text-only feedback. Consider your instructional goals and decide what type of scoring strategy fits best. Upon the completion of a new rubric, ensure its success by trying it out on a sample assignment and sharing it with colleagues and students. Choose an existing assignment and apply the new rubric to student work. Does it contain all of the criteria to help you evaluate the learning objectives for the assignment? Are the performance levels clearly differentiated? Is the language parallel and student-friendly? Analyze, find gaps, and modify your rubric as you see fit. A rubric should be easy to understand for instructors and students. Share your rubric with colleagues, teaching assistants, or administrators. Ask for feedback and make changes before using it in the classroom. Consider using a set of consistent rubrics for assignments amongst teaching teams. Share your rubric with students when the assignment is given. Rubrics are not meant to only be applied at the end of an assignment. Use the rubric as a tool to clarify expectations and provide guidance to students as they embark upon and through assignments. Feedback Studio enables instructors to apply rubrics to assignments. You may choose to upload your own rubric, modify a Feedback Studio rubric, or build a rubric from scratch. Rubrics may be attached during assignment setup. One option is to choose from the library of existing rubrics to be used with your assignment, or you may want to build your own. In the Rubric Library, you can build a new rubric or modify an existing one. Click on Create New Rubric to start your own. Click on Duplicate this rubric to modify an existing rubric for your classroom's needs. Rubrics may be shared with colleagues by using the Import-Export feature. Additionally, the Feedback Studio Resources website contains rubrics that may be added to your account. Check back often to find out what's new. You can take a deeper dive into how to use any of the Feedback Studio features shown here by clicking on the links provided in the webpage description. Thanks for watching our VidBIT on best practices for effective rubric design. Visit us at Turnitin.com to learn more.